Sure. One of the examples that we used before we went on film here was about short-term missions, right?
Yeah.
And so many people go on a short-term mission trip thinking that they're going to go be the big helpers wherever they're going. Let's say you take a youth group to Mexico or to Haiti or something like that.
Yeah.
And when they get there, it's not long before they find out that they're receiving a lot more than they're giving.
Yeah.
And that they're seeing joy and gratitude and praise in people who are in utter poverty or who have much more reason to complain than we ever would, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, it goes even further than that, and they start to encounter the love of God in those people, so that it's not just us serving them as these colonial messiahs that have come to save the day, but in fact, we're discovering and meeting Jesus in the poor and the sick and the disabled and the children and so on. And they become our mentors in the kingdom. And they show us what's really important in the kingdom. Like, will you love me? And can I love you? And as we exchange our lives and become friends instead of hierarchy, you know, then we meet Jesus in disguise. You know, here's a guy who was a rich young man. He's kind of on his high horse, but he really was repulsed by lepers because, you know, they're decomposing while they're still alive and they smell bad and they're in rags and so on. And one day he ends up running into a leper, and it's like the love of God compelled him to get off his literal horse and embrace this guy or kiss the leper, and it changed him inside in that moment. And yet it went further than that. It wasn't just reaching up to a leper. As he went to leave, he turned back to see the leper and realized he had disappeared in the middle of an open field.
Wow.
And that this had been a visit from Jesus. Well, when I heard that story, I started to be able to relate to it in ways where I would need to be attentive to how Jesus had spoken to me or visited me or touched me through people with disabilities or children or addicts or the poor. And in fact, what a lot of them had in common was people that I would want to turn away from because I was overwhelmed by their pain.
Yeah.
And it was like the Lord was saying, if you will be attentive to the suffering and to the marginalization of those who suffer from oppression and injustice, or just like whatever affliction they have, there'll be a surprise for you. And that is, I start to receive, and then I realize He's brought me to those people to heal me of something, and specifically and especially to heal my eyes, so that I can see the world through His eyes and see Jesus in the least of these, instead of just someone that I'm the rescuer. The first obvious ones for me was going to Mexico, and we visited this orphanage, and there was very little we could do to help, like very, very little, beyond, wiping tears from eyes, and helping kids blow their noses. And that was about it.
How long were you there for?
Just a few weeks. Well, actually, one time was a whole month, and during that time, what happened was I experienced my neck going out very badly.
Oh yeah.
And it was kind of like this. and I remember the orphans gathering around me and telling me to kneel in the dust.
Oh wow.
And then about probably 30 orphans gathered around me and laid hands on me and prayed for me with all their hearts. And I could really feel the love and the power of Jesus flowing from them. And I'm like, this to the world would look ironic.
Yeah.
Here's the guy from North America that's going to help them.
Yeah.
But it's them that were pouring out the love of God on me, and I just bathed in it. It was awesome. Where I have needed mercy, people with addictions have really shown me mercy, because they get it, and over again, when I thought, well, I'm disqualified this time, they say, oh no, there's fresh mercy again today. And so I try to get to at least one 12-step meeting a week, just
Yeah.
to experience them.
Yeah. Awesome.